Good morning, everyone. May you could confirm, am I audible? Thank you very much for that confirmation that I am audible. We want to take this chance to welcome all of you for today's engagement. Thank you so much for honoring this invitation. And before we start, we want to start with a word of prayer, and then we are going to proceed from there. So let us pray. Heavenly Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we come before your presence. We thank you, we honor you, and we adore you. Thank you for this day that you've privileged us to live it to see. We commit ourselves unto your able hands. Even as we start this engagement, we pray that you may be with us from the beginning to the very end, that we may have a very successful engagement. We thank you and we honor you. In the mighty name of Jesus, we pray with thanksgiving. Amen. Thank you. Thank you very much. Once again, welcome. I take this chance now to welcome Madam May to give us the opening remarks.
Good morning. Joseph, I am clear?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Good morning and a warm welcome to our esteemed taxpayers and colleagues who are in this meeting. This morning. We appreciate the time you have taken to be with us, and we want to make it as worthwhile and as fruitful as possible. And as you join us this morning, our subject of this discussion will be the VAT special table. We want to dissect this matter so that our esteemed taxpayers can gain an appreciation of what the VAT special table is about. And then we look at what are the salient points that will help you as you walk this journey towards disengaging from the table and streamlining your compliance record. We are going to have our presenter for this forum, who is Joseph Mashaga. He will start us off, and then we will encourage you to please engage with us on the Q&A and as well as the chat box section of this platform.
Thank you very much. Once again, I'm Joseph Mashaga. I'll be taking us through the discussion, and as informed, we encourage that you put your questions in the Q&A or in the chat. Our colleagues will be also answering as we progress, and at the end of it all, we'll also be able to address them. So we want to understand the VAT special table and what it is, and what makes one to be added to the special table, and also get to understand the advantages of the special table. And now that most of the taxpayers here are in the situations when one is placed on the VAT special table, the implications that come with that. And also we look at the criteria, what determines that taxpayer A is placed and taxpayer B is not placed in the special table. And of importance, we'll be looking at the procedure that we follow for addition to the special table, and then the removal, which is very key now for the members or the participants of this engagement to understand what you are supposed to do for you to come out of the special table, because there are those limit come with it, and you would want to be out of the special table so that you're able to continue with your operations uninterrupted. As a way of introduction, basically VAT special table is a compliance strategy, and this strategy was developed by KRA. KRA having been mandated to administer the various tax laws and to collect revenue on a fair share of what they are supposed to pay as far as tax is concerned. So this initiative then was developed to increase the compliance, and most specifically it was to deal with perennial fictitious input claims by taxpayers, as well as other non-conformities under the VAT regime. And these non-conformities, we are going to be looking at them one by one to understand why the initiative came to be. Of importance to note about this initiative, it comes with from the government side and also from the taxpayer side. So it is important to appreciate it's a compliance strategy, really. It's an initiative which is for the betterment of collection of the taxes as provided by the VAT Act, and also ensuring that you as a taxpayer, you are protected so that your PIN is not used in a manner that is not supposed to, or in a way that you are even not aware that your PIN is being used. So that is what basically this special table initiative is, and the strategy it limits in terms of what you can be able to do now on the iTax platform. So those restrictions are like filing of tax returns for the period where a taxpayer is non-compliant. So basically it's online. So when you've been onboarded, the restrictions are put online, and when you are eventually removed from this special table, you are then, the restrictions are lifted and you are able to proceed with with your obligations as a taxpayer. As I've mentioned, this is an initiative that focuses on addressing non-compliance, or in other words, improving compliance, so that everyone is paying their fair share of what they are supposed to pay. As we have a strategy, we say that no sharing more, no sharing less as far as the payment of taxes concerned. So there are those key non-compliance issues that this initiative targets to ensure that VAT collections or VAT compliance is as expected. So number one, it's the non-filers and nil filers. These are a category of taxpayers who fail to file their returns or consistently submit new returns while simultaneously claiming input tax credits. Of course, this is a non-compliance issue because we expect for someone who is claiming input tax credits, we expect that they are in business and they are doing something. It could be in a month, maybe there are no sales that have happened, and that's why we are talking about consistency. So if there is some consistency in submitting the nil returns, and at the same time there are input tax that are being claimed, that is something that's a flag that then needs to be checked into, and that's why we have this initiative to address it. And coming together with the issue of returns also, it's for the non-filers. If one has a VAT obligation and they are not filing the returns for a long time, then the question becomes, is this somebody who actually needs that VAT obligation? Because remember, it's always important to have an obligation that you need or that you qualify for. So when there is non-filing, then there is that question of, do you really need the obligation? And that's why now the special table comes in, so that if you really need the obligation, there is then the discussion as to why are you then not filing, yet you have the obligation. We also have the other issue of the missing trader scheme. And this is where taxpayers are involved in VAT fraud, including fictitious input tax claims and credit notes. The missing trader concept, really, we are saying we have on one side a purchaser or a taxpayer who is claiming input for a certain transaction, but on the other end, we are not seeing the trader, we are not seeing the seller who supplied this particular good or service. So then if we have a situation whereby one taxpayer is claiming input, and on the other hand, we are not seeing, sorry for that. I see my presentation dropped off, but we are going to handle that. Thank you very much. The missing trader is whereby we have a purchaser who is claiming, yeah, and at the same time, we don't see this trader who sold to this particular taxpayer who is claiming. And so therefore, we need to look at that. We need to look at that and understand who then is the person, is the supplier here. Because remember, VAT operates on output input. When now someone has sold and has claimed an input, we expect on the other side to the other person who sold to this particular taxpayer who is claiming to declare it as a sale, and therefore account for. We also have another issue here that is targeted, and that is an issue to do with teams or e-teams non-compliance. We know currently we are having electronic invoicing teams, basically the tax invoice management system, and also we have now the electronic tax invoice management system, which came to support what Teams was doing. Remember, Teams is gadget-based, device-based, but eTeams is a web-based solution. So it is a requirement that anyone who is in business issues their invoices electronically, and those invoices are transmitted to KRA. This gives visibility of the transactions that are taking place, and it also helps to ensure that, for example, the sales that have been declared and transmitted in a certain period, those sales are going to be declared in full. So we don't have a situation whereby a taxpayer is choosing what to declare and what not to declare. So that then being a requirement under the law to onboard on Teams or e-Teams and then transmit the invoices, we are then saying for the VAT registered taxpayer who then do not do that, who have not onboarded to these electronic tax invoice systems, and they are not transmitting the invoices, or transmit the invoice, but again, they do not file the returns. it's an non-compliance issue that needs to be addressed. And the other area is the payment returns without payments, which we call the PRWPs. And these are basically taxpayers who file VAT returns but do not make the corresponding tax payments, even after enforcement actions. Now, remember now, this is not someone who is not filing. We had talked about non-filing and nil filing. This is someone who is filing a return which is in a payment possession, or a return that has a liability. But then over time, you find that these taxpayer, despite the fact that they have a liability to pay, they are not paying. And hence, we have a payment return without a payment. So, and even after the enforcement measures trying to engage, the taxpayer is still not paying. So that is another non-compliance issue which is targeted by this initiative, so that we ensure compliance as far as VAT is concerned. So basically, those are the key issues that are targeted. What then are the benefits of the VAT special table? What then are the benefits of the VAT special table? It offers the special table, as I said, it has benefits to taxpayers, and at the same time, it has benefits to KRA. It reduces, number one, it reduces cases of abuse of traders' PIN by fraudulent persons. In the past, what would happen? You may find you have a VAT obligation, or you have a PIN that has a VAT obligation, and then without your knowledge, somebody puts that particular PIN in a return and claims an input on that PIN, and claims, that's what we call the fictitious claims, fictitious purchases. This person puts a PIN which did not actually sell to them, but they claim. So at the end of the day, you find there is someone who is declaring you as a supplier to them, while you as a taxpayer, you really did not submit that. I would say this was happening in the past, in those days when the issue of e-teams and Team B, because currently that has been controlled by electronic tax invoice management system, where we are saying, for you to claim an input, now we must have that particular invoice transmitted and your PIN indicated by the supplier in that particular invoice. But before e-teams, then we had this big problem where somebody would just pick a PIN and claim an input so that they reduce what they are supposed to pay. So as a taxpayer, that is really a plus on your side. It is protecting your PIN from abuse by some fraudulent persons who would want to claim input that is basically not there. Number two, we are saying that it identifies erroneous added VAT obligations or VAT obligations that are no longer required, hence aiding in cleaning taxpayers' register. What happens? There are some people we know, for example, worked in a cyber somewhere and you wanted to register for a PIN. And in the cyber, you find a VAT obligation was selected. In the past, we used to have, it's just a check in a box. When you are registering for a PIN, then you would just check a box and say, I need VAT, I need pay obligation. So in the event that VAT obligation was then added erroneously, and remember, once you have that VAT obligation, it comes with filing, it comes with payment. So you are there as a taxpayer, the PIN, you applied for a PIN, VAT obligation was added erroneously, but then you did not even know that you are supposed to be filing because it's an obligation that you did not even require. You have been a non-filer. So when then you are a non-filer, and the special table comes in and you are onboarded on special table, it also helps now pick a conversation like, I really don't need this VAT obligation. And so that VAT obligation is deregistered from you. In that case, it ensures that your PIN has only the obligations that you need. And in the event you need, for example, like a tax compliance certificate, you'll get it at a click of a button. But for the person who has a VAT obligation, which they did not need in the first place, and they don't file, so the moment you want to get a TCC for your PIN, you'll get a prompt that you cannot get a TCC or a tax compliance certificate because they are pending returns. Yet these returns are pending, but it is an obligation that you did not need in the first place. Other than that, we also have people who registered for VAT obligation, not erroneously, but they needed it at some point. But maybe things changed, the business changed, their operations changed, and they no longer then require that particular VAT obligation. So you could find maybe somebody after the transactions they did at the time when they needed the VAT obligation, maybe they stopped filing. or they have continued to consistently file nil, because they no longer need that particular obligation. Now, the special table comes in to help us pick, a discussion. Do you really need this obligation? And when then it is established you don't need it, it's a plus to you as a taxpayer that your PIN is clean in terms of the obligation that you need, and so you will not get challenges in getting, for example, the tax compliance certificate, like I have explained. And on our side also as KRA, it helps us then to have a clean register. Instead of saying we have this number of taxpayers, 1 million taxpayers who are registered for VAT, and we are only seeing maybe 600,000 filing, and we are seeing the 400,000 are not filing, we are seeing it as an uncompliance. It helps us to clean so that we know we actually don't have 1 million of them. We have just 600,000 who need this particular obligation. And number 3, it enables traders to conduct business with compliant suppliers. Remember, it is very important as a business person, and especially for VAT purposes, to do business with suppliers that are compliant. These are suppliers from whom you will not have a challenge in claiming input tax that you have incurred in your purchases or in the cost of running your business. So by now placing taxpayers who are not compliant in the special table, you are also protected as a taxpayer, so that today you don't then purchase from a taxpayer who is not compliant, and at the time that you want to claim the input tax, you cannot claim because the taxpayer is not compliant. So when we flag these particular suppliers and pick a conversation with them, then you are able to ensure that you are only dealing with, when we, for example, remove them from the special table, it ensures that you are protected as a business person. And we have taken this another level in the iTax page of logging in to iTax. Before you log in the checking the taxpayer details, you could click there and put a PIN, and you'll be able to confirm whether that PIN is compliant on as far as VAT is concerned. So we have really done that to protect you as the supplier, you as the taxpayer, as the business person. Today, before you trade with someone, you can, I think I'll demonstrate it later after the presentation. You can just put any PIN and it will confirm, is this person compliant? So as a business person, you'll have an easy time because you will only be dealing with taxpayers that are compliant, and you will not be having any challenges to claim your input tax. Good. What then are the implications of taxpayer added into the VAT special table? As I mentioned earlier, because this initiative is a compliance strategy that is supposed to improve compliance as far as VAT is concerned, there are some restrictions that then come with being placed on the VAT special table. Number 1, it is the restriction from filing the VAT returns. Now, where a taxpayer is placed in the VAT special table and they try to file a VAT return, the system shall display this message that this PIN is currently under review for VAT compliance irregularities, and you'll be told to please contact your respective Kenya Revenue Authority Tax Service office. So remember, we said because of that non-compliance, we need first of all to establish, do you need this VAT obligation? So then we are saying if you're in the special table, maybe you even don't need it. You don't even need to keep filing nil returns. So when we have that discussion after this restriction, you are able maybe to be removed from the special table if you prove that you really need this obligation. All in all, the VAT obligation is removed from you, and it makes it easier for you as a business person. There is also the restriction on input VAT claim. Taxpayers in the VAT special table are restricted from claiming input VAT. So this is a system enhancement which now was designed to block claims from nil filers or non-filers for VAT, suspected missing traders based on previous audits and intelligence received, as well as other non-conformities under the VAT regime. What are we saying here? We are saying when someone is placed on VAT on VAT special table, it is not possible to claim input VAT from them because these are non-compliant. To a greater extent, they are non-compliant. I talked about the point of a nil filer. Someone has been a nil filer, or a non-filer. They are placed in the special table. Remember, filing a nil return means they don't file, they don't make any sale. Then coming again to claim an input from this taxpayer who is declaring that they are not making any sales, it is then inconsistent with the VAT principle. So that's why we are saying when a nil filer or a non-filer or a missing trader is placed on the special table, you cannot claim input VAT from them. And that really protects the leakage of revenue, because as I mentioned earlier, is that VAT, we have to see the output part of it on one side and the input that is being claimed in reference to that particular output. We also have the restriction of input claim, VAT claim by their customers. Yeah. Remember, number 2 is about you who is in special table, you can't claim. And number 3 now is your customers cannot claim from you. You know, if you are put on special table, your customers will really not claim from you. When you try to put that particular, when this customer tries to claim from that PIN, it will indicate that he is not eligible for input tax deduction. And that's why I mentioned that we have already put in place a system to support the customers to confirm before I trade with XYZ, are they compliant? Are they in the special table? Am I going to claim the VAT input that I've incurred from them? So those are the restrictions. What then is the criteria for addition to the VAT special table? Remember, as I said, this is all about enhancing compliance and at the same time protecting you as a taxpayer who is in business. I mentioned about the areas of non-compliance that are targeted. So the criteria for addition to the VAT special table comes now from those targeted non-compliance areas that I have discussed. Number 1 being the payment returns without payments. I've already explained this is someone who has filed returns and they have not made payments for 6 months, and all efforts have been made to collect that debt. So you have been filing, you are in a payment position, and we have tried really to collect that particular debt or to enforce it, but it is not, the taxpayer cannot be traced, or it is not bearing fruits. So that particular taxpayer who is filing and not paying then meets a criteria to be added to the special table. However, if you have payment returns without payments, but you have entered into a payment plan, or you have made partial payments, or you have entered into an agreement with the authority to make the payments on some, installments, because we understand the operations of the business, and we have a provision. You could be owing 1 million today, and you agree that yes, I owe 1 million, but you don't have the 1 million to pay. KRA in the spirit of supporting you as taxpayers and facilitating trade, facilitating business, we come in and we help you now to make this, to pay this debt in a manner that will make you continue doing business to earn more, so that you're able even to pay. And at the same time, the debt is being taken care of. The payment of that tax debt is being taken care of. So if you have payment returns without payment, but you have such a payment plan, you are paying in installments, then we are saying you don't fit in this criteria of being placed in the special table, because there is a debt, yes, but that debt is being addressed, and there's an agreement on how to address that debt. Now, the other criteria is teams or e-teams and compliance. I've already said that we already have the Tax Procedures Act, Electronic Tax Invoice Regulations of 2024, which required business people or taxpayers to transition from the old ETR to teams or e-teams. So in that case, if you have VAT obligation and you have not complied with this regulation, okay, then you fit in, you qualify, you are in this criteria of being placed in the special table. Because why do we have the electronic invoicing? There are many benefits that come with electronic invoicing, but one of them, which is very important, is the visibility of the transactions, and thereby protecting revenue. So if you have not onboarded, you fit in that criteria, and then there is that engagement, there is that discussion then on how you can be supported to onboard, and thereby you'll be lifted, you'll be removed from the special table. If again there is repeated abuse of Teams devices, or non-compliant with Teams or e-Teams, you are using the devices in a manner that is not fitting with the regulations, with these electronic tax invoice regulations requirement. So and you are abusing it in a manner, it is leading to even claiming of inputs that are not really there. then we are saying we need to have a discussion, and that discussion it's initiated by this initiative of the special table, so that we address that non-compliance in the efforts of protecting revenue. Continue with the criteria. I already mentioned about non-filers. If you have not filed your return for a period of 6 months or more, you are placed in the special table so that we understand, do you actually need this obligation, or it is time you deregister from this particular obligation. So also we protect your PIN from being abused. Nil filers, taxpayers who have filed nil returns for a period of 6 months or more but have input tax claims made against them. Again, back to our input VAT principle. You have been filing nil returns, but on the other hand, we have taxpayers who are claiming that they purchased from you, and they are claiming input tax from you. So we are saying we need then to have a discussion on why are we not seeing the output being taken care of, yet the input is being claimed by taxpayers. And this is not only something, it has a period for you to fit in the criteria. We are talking about 6 months. So it is not a 1 month thing and then you are placed in the special table. Of importance is to appreciate there has to be some consistency that is there, that is showing non-compliance. So it is not that you file nil return 1 month and then the next day you are put on special table. No, we have to see some consistency that is showing areas of non-compliance. But on these non-filers, it does not include taxpayers who are filing nil returns and have no input claims made against them. We agree that you could be in business and maybe this month or next month, you have not made any sales. There is nothing wrong about that. So if you file a nil return, that does not mean you will be automatically placed in the special table. To be placed in the special table is you are filing nil returns for a period of 6 months, but again, there are people who are claiming from you. There are other taxpayers who are claiming from you. So they say you sold to them, but you are not declaring that sale. So, but if then it's a nil return and no input claim is made against you, then you don't fit in this criteria of nil filers. I also talked about the issue of the missing traders. These are taxpayers who, on investigation, audit, or compliance check, were found to be involved in these areas here. VAT fraud relating to claim of fictitious input taxes, including of selling of invoices, claiming input VAT against fictitious invoices, where one is flagged down after investigations, audit, or compliance check that you are, for example, selling invoices to facilitate people to claim input that is not there, or you are using fictitious credit notes, or you are facilitating people to get credit notes that are not real, they are not there, then you really fit you in this category of the missing trader, because you are aiding in having a purchaser on one side and the seller on the other side is missing. And number 3, we are saying any other activity that is flagged down by iTax or the tax account manager, the term, we call them in abbreviation term, which points to missing trade activity. The list could be long, but we are saying any activity upon monitoring that leads to a missing trader activity, or an activity that is aiding in having these missing traders, we are saying it makes you fit in this criteria, and then you'll be placed in the special table, so that then we could now see how to handle that and protect revenue, at the same time protect the business people, so that they are not engaging with people that are not compliant. Good. Having looked at the non-compliance issues and the criteria for addition, it is then important to appreciate the procedure for addition to the VAT special table. And I would want to emphasize that KRA has laid down procedures to ensure that before you are actually in the special table, you are informed. You are informed. You are also informed why there is an intention to place you on the VAT special table, so that if there is any issue that needed to be clarified, and you can substantially clarify it and support it with documents, there will then be no need to place you on the VAT special table. So the procedure then for addition is, once we identify you with one of the criteria that I have already discussed, the tax account manager will send a notification letter to you as a taxpayer about addition to the VAT special table. But remember, this is before addition. The letter will be titled Notice of Intention of Addition to the VAT Special Table. Note intention. The issue here is we intend to place you in the special table, in the VAT Special Table. And the details informed also, you'll be informed about the implications that will come with you being on the special table. So once that letter comes to you, it will be sent to your email, your registered email, and you'll be given 7 working days in which you are supposed to respond to the letter, failure to which you shall be added to the special table. You can see for fair administration here, as a principle, we are saying it will not just be placed on a special table. You are informed why, what are the implications, and then you are given 7 working days in which you're supposed to respond to that. In the event then that you don't respond to the letter, you are placed on the VAT special table, and the restrictions that we have discussed will fall in place. Now, where the taxpayer responds, the taxpayer account manager, the tax account manager will request for supporting documents from you in order to ascertain whether the reasons given are sufficient not to add the taxpayer on the special table. So because Roman 2 here, remember we have said there are reasons where now you respond and you say, for this reason, this is it. I'm not supposed, there is no non-compliance here for this and this reason. Number 2, you explain the other one, The tax account manager will request for documents, and then they will look at the support or the explanations that you've given and whether they really address the issues that were raised in the letter that was sent to you. So if then you support and there is no need to add you to the special table, of course, you'll be responded to that we have closed this. We have seen that now this issue is the areas have been responded to, and then you will not go to the special table. However, if you have not responded, you are added, you are within 7 days. Again, if you respond and the documents, you don't avail the documents, or the documents do not then support the reasons that were indicated, then you are going to be added to the special table, and the tax account manager will notify you of your addition to the special table within 2 working days through a letter. So if you are added today, within 2 working days, you are going to be notified that you have been added. Then the letter now will not be intention of addition, but it will be now the notice of addition to the special table, and it will also detail the date of placement, the reason for placement, the implication on the placement on the special table, and the corrective action that you need to take to be removed from the special table. So that is the procedure for addition. But there is an exemption here. For the missing trader pins, those that are in the missing trader. Remember, missing trader, we say these are people who have been flagged through audit, through investigations, and through other engagements that they are aiding in this missing trader concept, and they are selling maybe invoices that are fictitious or credit notes. Now, here, you will not be eligible. A taxpayer who is involved in this is not eligible for prior notice, because there is a lot of risk, because this is someone who is really doing it knowingly, and where there are matters of fraud, then immediate action needs to be taken. So you will not, such a taxpayer will not be given a notice. They will be placed on the special table immediately when found culpable. Okay, and now once someone is added, we need then to ask ourselves, what do you need to be removed from the special table? The procedure for removal from the special table. Now, once you are added in the special table, remember we have said in the notice of addition to the special table, you will be told of the reasons why, the implications, and what you need to do. In other words, the corrective action that you need to take for you to be removed from the special table. Now, once you address those areas that were indicated in the notice of addition, you will then request your respective TSO compliance officer for removal, and the officer will review the compliance status of the taxpayer to confirm whether all the issues that led to the placement in the special table are addressed. Maybe it was an issue of not filing returns. You have now filed the returns. Maybe it was an issue of not onboarding on the on e-teams or teams, and now you have onboarded. It could also be the issue of the PRWPs, the payment returns without payments, but now you have settled the debt, or you have an arrangement, a payment plan that you have entered into, that is signed and agreed on, that in as much as you have this debt, you are going to address it this way. Now, if the conditions are met, you are going to be removed from the special table. And once you are removed, then the TSO shall communicate to you about the removal from the special table and ultimately the lifting of the restrictions that came with being placed on the VAT special table. The penalties and interest accrued for late filing or non-payment whilst on the special table will be reversed. So what we are saying here, now you are in a special table, you have not been able to file the returns. So there are issues that will come there, the late payment, the late filing penalty, late payment and all that, they are going to be reversed because they came up because you are in the special table, but now you have addressed the issues and you have been removed from the VAT special table. On the other hand, it could be this was an opportunity for you to drop down the VAT obligation. Maybe you don't need it. So again, you initiate the process of the deregistration from VAT because you have now proved you don't need the obligation. The penalties and interest are reversed, and you'll be good to go. Because as I emphasized from the beginning is that this is not a punishment to the taxpayer. It is a manner of protecting you. It's a way of protecting you as a taxpayer, protecting revenue leakage, and also ensuring you are dealing with compliant taxpayers, and also your PIN is not misused. And it's important to note that a trader may apply to the TSO head for consideration to claim input VAT that had been disallowed when their supplier was placed on the VAT special table for making a payment return without payment. Remember, one of the criteria we discussed is about the payment return without payment. The person you purchased from, your supplier, they sold to you, but because they have been consistently not paying, they have been filing and not paying, they were placed on the special table. That comes with an implication that you as a customer, you are not going to be able to claim from them. So, but when now this particular person is removed from the special table, you will apply to the TSO head for consideration, because you as the purchaser really, you did not have an issue. The issue was not yours per se, it was on your supplier. So there is that consideration. You will apply for consideration to claim input VAT that had been disallowed when their supplier was placed on the VAT table. And remember, again, I emphasized that before you engage, we have put a system whereby before you engage, you can be able to log in, to go to our iTax platform. Even before logging in, there's a PIN checker option. We'll be looking at that, and you are going to confirm that this particular person you want to trade with, to do business with, they are compliant or non-compliant. Now, it is important to address this very important thing of claiming of input tax after removal from special table. Now, the following categories of taxpayers, upon removal from the VAT special table, may apply to the TSO head for consideration to claim input for any VAT period beyond the 6 months as stipulated in Section 17.2 of the VAT Act. Remember, the claiming of input tax is limited to 6 months from the date of the transaction, the date of the supply. But in the event you are in these categories, these 3 categories, you are placed on special table for purposes of onboarding teams or e-teams, that means you are not compliant. Then you will appear a WP taxpayer who had been placed on the special table, a taxpayer who had been placed on the VAT special table upon being cleared from implication of missing trader activities. So we are saying, because it's not a punishment, it's a way of ensuring compliance and ensuring that both parties are doing what is expected of them. Again, you are going to be allowed. There's a provision to allow you to claim the input tax, which maybe is beyond the 6 months as stipulated by law, so that again, you are not going to be disadvantaged in any way, and especially because you have already addressed the issues that were there and you have been removed from the special VAT special table. So you are going to then claim that input and be able to continue with your business as required. So basically, that is a walkthrough on what special table is, the implications and the target areas and the restrictions that come with it. Allow me in a minute or two before we go to addressing the questions that have been asked to also mention something on integrity. And it's very important that even the issue of the special table itself is an issue that that addresses corruption, which we know is something that is not good to us as individuals or to the country, because it is corruption that now leads to leakage of revenue. And we talked some of the things we have talking about, the missing trader that leads to the loss of revenue. So while this is an initiative of compliance, it is also important to note that KRA has put various measures in place to address corruption, to address, to make sure that the revenue, in as much as we have measures and initiatives of collection of revenue, to ensure that what you pay then is protected and it is not going to areas where it's not supposed to go as far as revenue is concerned. So we have automated our KRA functions, like we've discussed about iTax, the platform in which we are administering this initiative. We have them also ICMS, the ones that deals with customs. We have the electronic cargo tracking system. We have the one-stop border points. We have the document processing center and all that. So we have automated our KRA functions to ensure that the revenue does not, the issue of corruption does not jeopardize the revenue, that the taxes that you are paying as taxpayers. We also have our charter, and it is important to emphasize this, especially now that I have taken you through what you need as your table. It is free of charge. There is nothing that you are going to pay for you to be removed from the special table. For example, it is your right to be to once you meet a certain condition, and not only on the special table, whether we are talking about tax compliance certificates, whether we are talking about issues to do with the amendment of returns in case there were errors that happened, you have a right to get those services. And it is important to ensure, to emphasize that those services are free of charge. There is nothing that you are supposed to pay really to be removed from the special table. What you need to do as a taxpayer is to ensure that you have met the conditions, you have provided the documentation, you have supported your case in terms of why you should be removed from the special table. As an organization also, we have an ISO department. This is what, this is a department that oversees the integrity of our KRA staff. We have audits, we have lifestyle audits, vetting, investigations on staff and tax evasion. So this is something also that is coming in very handy to ensure that the issue of corruption is addressed. Like if, for example, we have the issue of tax evasion or the issue of missing trader that I've already mentioned, it is this department also comes in handy to address that, to ensure that we are protecting revenue. We also have the training of taxpayers and the general public on integrity. That is what I'm doing right now. And in other forums, as we engage with the taxpayers, it is important we emphasize this, that it is very important to uphold integrity on your side and our side as officers. And that's why these measures are put on place, so that we are able to protect our revenue, because we know it is this revenue that goes into financing the government operations, and really no government can be able to run without taxes. So then taking care of the taxes and ensuring that we don't have loopholes, it's an obligation both on you as a taxpayer, so that and on our side also as officers, so that also you are, if you saw some activity that is leading to tax evasion as a patriotic citizen, then you'll be able to note it, and I'm going to be showing them what you can do in case you come again, across such an incident. We also have investigation on staff and tax evaders and enforcement of KRA of conduct. So where then, even after training people and telling them not to engage in corruption, where those issues are identified, then investigations are instituted and the enforcement measures are carried out. But again, as officers, as KRA officers on this side, we have a code of conduct that guides our operations on what we are supposed to do and what we are not supposed to do. We have a very important also measure here or initiative, which is basically a KRA anti-corruption kits and whistleblower policy. This is a policy whereby as a taxpayer, you can whistleblow, you can raise an alarm that you have identified an activity that is not consistent in what we are supposed to be doing as far as collection of taxes is concerned, whether it's on the side of the officers from KRA or on the side of the members of the public, then you have a platform where you can whistleblow. You can whistleblow anonymously, even without declaring who you are. You can just give the details of the incidents, and it is going to be picked up and the appropriate measures taken. For you to do that, for you to whistle, for you to inform or to report, for you to report any incidents that you have seen, you log into this site, iwhistle.kra.go.ke. You are going to report anonymously, so that once you whistle, we are saying, we are going to act. I've already said we have a department that does investigations. That information is going to be taken and investigated. And again, the information will be treated with utmost confidentiality so that you are not victimized in any way. Corruption reporting at kra.go.ke. You can also write to cic@kra.go.ke. That is our complaints and information center. And then you can also write a letter to the Commissioner General and you report any case of corruption. This is something that we take very seriously. And then once the information is received, the necessary actions are going to be taken. We have what we call the informal reward system, whereby if you give information, if you whistle, if you report on any information that leads to recovery of taxes, which would have otherwise not be collected without the information that you have provided, that tax that is collected, we have a reward of 5% of the tax that has been collected, and there is a maximum there of 5 million. So it is just a reward for those patriotic Kenyans who report corruption and matters that are not consistent with law in terms of administration of the tax laws. And so the 5% reward comes in with a maximum of 5 million. So basically, that is what I had to take us through for the special table. I see questions have been coming through the chat, and I know my colleagues here will also be helping me to address to them. I also want to emphasize, even as we go to the questions session, we will also be posting a link in the chat for getting feedback. We take feedback very seriously. So that link, once it's posted in the chat, we request that you put your feedback there so that we can improve our future engagements. And also at the same time, we can be able to know some of the pain areas that are there that need to be addressed. So allow me at that point to first of all take it back to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joseph, for the presentation. To our panelists, we also thank you